Okay, this just happened. The president of Syria, Ahmed al-Shara, is in Washington, D.C. Yes, the White House. The same Syria that's been under heavy U.S. sanctions for decades. The same Syria that once called part of the axis of evil. And now its president is shaking hands with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. Let that sink in. This is the first time in 80 years since Syria's independence that a Syrian leader has ever been officially welcomed to the White House. And whether you like him or not, al-Shara's visit might completely redefine what US-Syria relations look like. Here's what's wild. Syria has basically been isolated from the West for decades. War, sanctions, dictatorship, civil collapse, it's been through it all. But this new president, Ahmed al-Shara, isn't from the old regime. He came to power after overthrowing Bashar al-Assad in a military blitz late last year. So now you've got this 43-year-old leader, once a rebel commander, even a former U.S. detainee in Iraq, walking through the same halls as the President of the United States. You can't make this up. This visit isn't just symbolic, it's a massive geopolitical pivot. So why is al-Shara really here? Because Syria's economy is hanging by a thread. After 13 years of civil war, entire cities are in ruins. The World Bank estimates it would take $260 billion to rebuild. That's like rebuilding New York City 4 times. And then there's the Caesar Act, the U.S. sanctions law passed in 2019 that basically crushed Syria's ability to trade globally. No international bank would touch them, no major economy would invest. Even if Syria wanted to rebuild, it couldn't. Now, al-Shara wants that law repealed. He wants Syria back in the global financial system to rebuild its hospitals, roads, and honestly, its reputation. The Trump administration has already given an executive order to ease restrictions, but Congress, that's the real gatekeeper. They're the ones who have to vote to lift the Caesar Act completely. And that's tricky because Washington has long treated Syria like a pariah state. Now, you might be wondering, what's America getting out of this? Why is Trump suddenly open to hosting Syria's leader? Simple. ISIS. The U.S. is trying to strengthen its global coalition against ISIL or ISIS, which currently includes 89 countries, from Europe to the Middle East. If Syria joins, that's a huge symbolic win for Washington. It signals that even one of America's former enemies is now on board with its anti-terror campaign. It's also about something bigger, regional normalization. Trump wants to expand the Abraham Accords, the peace deals between Israel and Arab states. He wants Syria to be next. Now, is that realistic? Maybe not yet. But al-Shara's presence in D.C. shows that the U.S. is willing to talk and Syria is willing to listen. Let's talk about how surreal this is. Because think about it. Ahmed al-Shara literally fought against U.S. forces in Iraq. He spent 5 years in an American prison camp. And now he's in the White House meeting with the same country that once detained him. It's like if Nelson Mandela had tea with his former prison warden. This is history doing a backflip. And if you think it's all hugs and handshakes, think again. Behind closed doors, there's tension. Years of mistrust, human rights questions, war crime investigations, where both sides are playing it smart. Because right now they need each other. For Syria, this is a make or break moment. If the sanctions are lifted, money can flow in, reconstruction can begin. Hospitals that haven't had equipment in years can reopen. Millions of displaced Syrians might finally return home. But if Congress refuses, then it's back to isolation, back to economic collapse. So al-Shara's entire trip is like walking a diplomatic tightrope. One wrong move and the hope of rebuilding Syria could vanish overnight. And for the US, this is about reestablishing influence. Because let's be honest, in the Middle East, America's grip isn't what it used to be. Russia, China, Iran, they've all been gaining ground. So bringing Syria into the US orbit again, that's a power move. Trump wants to show that Washington still holds the key to peace, power, and apparently political comebacks. If he can get al-Shara to join the anti-ISIS coalition and maybe even talk about Israel, that's a foreign policy headline he'll love. How's the rest of the region reacting? Arab media is buzzing. Some are calling it a new dawn for Syria's diplomacy. Others see it as pure political theater that Syria is being used as a pawn in Washington's regional chessboard. Inside Syria, the mood is mixed. Many people are hopeful, desperate, even for sanctions relief. But others worry that cozying up to the U.S. could mean compromising on sovereignty or worse, repeating history. Regardless of how this plays out, this visit is historic, no question. Since 1946, no Syrian president has ever set foot inside the White House. Not Hafez al-Assad, not Bashar al-Assad, none. For decades, the US and Syria were enemies across every war, every negotiation table, every UN vote. And now, suddenly, a handshake could reset 80 years of hostility. That's monumental. It also shows how unpredictable geopolitics can be. Yesterday's warlord can become today's partner. Yesterday's enemy can become tomorrow's guest. So, what's next? If this visit goes well, we could see a phased repeal of sanctions, maybe some humanitarian aid packages, and eventually Syria rejoining regional economic groups. If it fails, though, it will be another headline in a long list of missed opportunities. But here's the takeaway: in global politics, there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. And right now, Syria and the US might finally have some shared ones. So yeah, the same guy who once fought against US troops is now being escorted down the West Wing hallway. A country that's been sanctioned, bombed, and isolated for decades is suddenly at the center of global diplomacy. It's confusing, it's ironic, and honestly, it's history in real time. Because what's happening between Washington and Damascus this week isn't just about two presidents shaking hands. It's about whether the world can move past decades of war, sanctions, and distrust, or whether we'll keep replaying the same headlines for another generation. I'm Mazar, that was a breakdown. If you like the video, hit the like button, talk to me in the comments, share it with your friends, and do subscribe to the channel for more such videos. Thank you for watching.